Hello, my name is Tony T, and I'm going to attempt to show you how to make sauce the way I've made it for years for my family. Now, I've looked through the years with through my mother, mother-in-law, and my wife and sister who have prepared sauce way before I started to do it. And I knew their sauce was great, so I tried and attempted to do sauce the way they make it, but I've got my own version now. First of all, I'd like to show you the steps that I go through in preparing sauce. We're going to use 28 ounce each of 3 cans of whole peeled tomatoes. We're going to use an 18 ounce can of tomato paste, about 2 pounds of ground beef, and a slab of the country style ribs, which are boneless, and some Italian hot sausage. You can use mild sauce if you wish, that's fine. 3 extra large eggs, all the ingredients and spices here, and then we're going to use a little bit of wine as well, and some grated cheese. So we're ready for the first step in making the sauce. We take the can of whole peeled tomatoes, and we're going to put it here in the blender. I'll take the top off first, of course. You got to do this fairly carefully because I have spilled this this sauce on me in the past, so I've learned to be more careful with this. And I can fit at least 2 28 ounce cans in this particular blender. Some blenders are smaller. You might want to do a can of these whole peeled tomatoes at a time. It doesn't really matter. So it'll take a few minutes just to pour these in to the blender. 2 full cans. Make sure you put that cover back on. That's critical. And we're going to turn it on, of course. And I gradually do at variable speeds. So I gradually come up to the full speed of the blender. That should do it. There's really no time situation. You might have timed that. It might have been maybe a minute or 2. But just make sure that all the ingredients, all the tomatoes, are really blended so that it's very liquidy. Pour that last can into your pan. And next we put in the tomato paste. And here we have, I use 18 ounces. Now keep in mind, I'm making sauce that will accommodate at least 20 people. And in our family, that sauce goes pretty fast. But you can keep the sauce around for about, I would say, at least 3 weeks. As long as it's refrigerated and it's used, you'd have no problem with spoilage whatsoever. You can add some water to that as well. I've got some filtered water here. You can use community water, which is fine. And pour about a can into the water into the pan as well. Then of course we turn on the heat. Alright, now my paste and my tomato sauce are completely liquefied, and I'm going to start adding my spices. And as you can see, I don't have any measuring cup here, so I just, for this amount of sauce, you put a good measure of your spices in here. So I'm using right now a good measure of the mixed onions. You put the black pepper. This is on the way you want to do it. I'm putting quite a bit of black pepper in here. Some people don't like as much. They don't want it that spicy. And your onion powder. And don't worry if you mix a little bit too much in there. It's not going to make too much of a difference there. You don't have to be that exact. Break that up a little bit. That was the onion salt. Whole oregano. Not as much of that because that's very potent. That whole oregano. Then you have the garlic salt. Put a sprinkling of that. Garlic powder. basil leaves, And we're all done with the spices. Now you recognize that I didn't have any salt to that because, as you can imagine, these spices contain a lot of salt. For those of you out there who can't have salt, I'm afraid this sauce would not be for you. So it's only for those people who can have salt in their sauce. And you stir that quite well. Make sure all the spices are stirred very well. At this point in time now, I just give it a slight sampling. As you can notice, I use a separate spoon to do that. And that's not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, now I'm done with all the spices in there and quite diluted with the sauce. So I'm satisfied that I can add my meats now. Now, as you can see, I've got the country style boneless rib here. And now we're ready for the Italian sausage. Now here, as you can see, these links are pretty long. So what I do is I actually take half of these links. You can just put your finger in the middle of the link and just then twist it. And that's how it'll happen. And don't worry if it breaks on you. Right, now I have mixed the sausage with the country style ribs, the boneless ribs. And we're now ready to do meatballs, but before I do that, I want you to show you something very important. I started to do this now with advice from a department store clerk. I told her I was burning my pans quite often, and so what she suggested is, why don't you use a hot plate? So that's what I'm going to do, and I started doing that now quite often. So I have a hot plate here. I put on the stove and put my pan on top of the hot plate, then turn my heat back on. And now I've lowered the heat. I would say it's medium-low right now. So it's not a simmer yet, but it's medium-low. And that hot plate will prevent the pan from burning. And that's really an advantage to me now. So I want to add a little more. I want to add some more grated cheese to the sauce, which I neglected to do early on. So that's a little bit of grated cheese, and also a touch of some red wine. Doesn't have to be any particular wine, just a red wine, and that's all you put in there, not even a half a cup. And you stir that into the mix here. Another thing, so make sure that all meatballs are pushed beneath the surface of the sauce, and make sure they get fully cooked. And then I would say about every 20 minutes, just come back and stir the sauce. I'm not going to stir it at the beginning because I don't want to smash these meatballs that are still uncooked. At this point now, I would cover the sauce, lower the heat a little bit, not to the lowest heat, but just lower it a little bit because don't forget I still have a hot plate on. I'm going to keep that on there. And then come back about every 20 minutes and stir the sauce and taste it for flavoring. Now if the sauce is hot, you can probably use the sauce right away, but of course the meat is still uncooked. So I would cook this, I do it at least for 2.5 hours that I make this sauce simmer on the low heat. So then I make sure, then I test my meat and make sure the meat is fully cooked. At that point in time, your meat should be fully cooked. If you want to do for 3 hours, it's fine to make sure meat is fully cooked. So at this point in time, I salute you. Bon appetit.